It's on Venezuela.
Turmoil and tension is gripping the oil-rich nation of Venezuela after dramatic U.S. military operation that ousted President Nicolas Maduro. Venezuela's interim president, Delcy Rodriguez, is scrambling to assert control amid mounting domestic resistance, international criticism, and a standoff with the United States. Rodriguez has ordered the activation of an agro-food, industrial, and communal high command to protect the nation's productive apparatus to ensure the flow of essential goods and industrial production remains uninterrupted and urged for unity.
Todo lo que el presidente ha llamado.
Venezuelans, let's keep working so that at the end of 2026 we can say that we have fulfilled our duty as a country in national unity, that we Venezuelans have fulfilled our duty in all the productive sectors.
De paz, que busca su propio camino.
US President Donald Trump was startling candid about his intent regarding the South American country's reserves when he declared that Venezuela will turn over 30 million to 50 million barrels of oil to the United States. Venezuela has millions of barrels of oil loaded on tankers in storage tanks that it had been unable to ship due to a blockade on exports by the US since mid December. The blockade was part of rising US pressure on the government of the then Venezuelan President Maduro that culminated in the US forces capturing him last weekend. Oil CEOs are expected to visit the White House as early on Thursday to discuss investments in Venezuela. Meanwhile, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney has said Canadian oil will remain competitive even if Venezuela boosts output. Thousands of Venezuelans poured into the streets of Caracas, not in celebration but demanding the release of Nicolas Maduro and his wife. Opposition leader Maria Corina Machado, sidelined by Washington in the post Maduro transition, warned that Rodriguez was not to be trusted. In its first confirmation of losses, Venezuela published a list of 23 troops killed in the US strikes. 7 days of mourning was declared. Havana separately issued a list of 32 dead Cuban military personnel. Meanwhile, Venezuelans continue crossing into Colombia in search of safety and stability. Bogota has deployed tens of thousands of troops to secure its border, warning that its sovereignty must be defended after threats from Washington of potential military action similar to the one carried out in Caracas. The international community is sharply divided. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio spoke to the foreign ministers of the G7 countries about the importance of freeing Venezuela political prisoners and putting in place the conditions for democracy and planning for elections. Canada is on the same page, but Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez said United States has set a terrible and a dangerous precedent in Venezuela. The Venezuelan constitution says that after Maduro is formally declared absent, which could happen after 6 months, elections must then be held within 30 days. The next weeks could determine whether Venezuela stabilizes or spirals deeper into conflict and diplomatic crisis. Bureau Report, DD India.